Hey, it's Penelope in London, and there's two things I want to look at on this chart today, which I was thinking about. I'm just going to make sure I'm sharing screen, and what we have is that if you look at this chart, we've got Pluto that's gone retrograde a week ago, and the other thing that we have is that we've got here, you can see Eris. So what I want to do is explain, because this Pluto is going back to 24 degrees, and Eris takes Pluto takes about 240 years around the chart, and Eris takes about 560. So if I read the definition here, because this Pluto is about transformation, and the other thing is it's really where it's breaking down the structures as it's been moving through the sign of Capricorn, and then it's going to leave Capricorn by 2024 January. It's going to move into Aquarius for 20 years. It will be there 2024 until 2044. So we're going through major shifts. And before I go into the Eris and the square going on here, the other thing is this Saturn here is square to Uranus here, and it's applying. So I'm going to read the definition of that, which is Saturn is about restriction. It's the planet of restriction and structure. And Uranus is the planet of revolution. And really, it's revolution in a big way. It's breaking free of limitations. So with the Saturn in this aspect to Uranus, there is a global need to break free from the old. So we can see that also with this Pluto involvement with Eris, and we've got this Saturn here that's going to be going retrograde in May, and we've got Uranus at 10 degrees of Taurus currently, which is to do with, Taurus is to do with agriculture, it's to do with our inner needs, it's to do with money as well, and financial markets. And if we look at the Saturn, which is applying, which is restriction, it's where it's about outworn rules and traditions. When we look at the Uranus aspect, it's working with authority that turns out to be more difficult than expected, which we can see. We've got polarization in order, is the order of the day, with new gradually replacing the old, although not without a struggle. So although everyone has the attitude of doing their own thing, because of it, we've got this Uranus aspect going on, which is, breaking free of limitations. Although we will have this, we may at times have to rein it in to accommodate circumstances. The potential there is for eventual breakthrough that leads to new order. So we can see that this is playing out, that, we're going through, when we had last January, we had the Pluto Saturn conjunction, we had Jupiter involved, we also had Mars crossover, then COVID came along, and then we've got, when we look at the Pluto Eris that's going on, and I'm going to read this out for you because I think it's important, that Eris is named after the ancient goddess of strife and discord. The discovery of this scattered object, the disk object of Eris, upset the world of astronomy and forced a rethink of how astronomers define a planet, leading to the invention of the category of dwarf planet, which now includes Pluto, Ceres, and Eris, and new objects like Hemera and Makemake. I think, how we pronounce that, but hopefully I'm right. Eris needs substantial research, but early signs suggest it is not intrinsically malign influence. It doesn't have an intrinsically malign, it says, influence in the horoscope, regardless of the dire mythology. Instead, Eris seems to be a force for evolutionary movement, an agent of change, and then some. Eris moves incredibly slowly across the zodiac, but its movement in terms of influence on character or events is fast, sometimes fast and furious. There is impatience with this symbol, a sense of being driven to do something. What someone then does may or may not prove to be clever or useful, but at least Eris sees that something is happening. Eris goads us forward, like it or not. So we're being goaded forward, but that Pluto's applying, then it's going retrograde for 5 months, and then it will go direct again and it will apply again. So I've got to learn more about the applying and the separating. But, you know, if we look at common sense, the application too would be that it's pushing. And then when it's separating, which it's separating currently, and then it will apply again. So I would say that maybe in the separation, we get a sense of like steam being let off, and then it applies again. So Eris is in Aries, and it has been, well, look actually on this chart and take it back, you know, 500 years and see where Eris was then, because it's a 360 degrees around the chart, and it's 560 years for Eris to go around the chart. So Eris is basically, we know, a 60 year orbit. And it's one orbit around the sun. Most people currently alive today, you know, it would have either been in Pisces or Aries. To give you an idea, it says here actually that Eris entered Aries in 1923, and then it will enter Taurus in 2048. So this is fascinating because we've got that Pluto will enter Aquarius, and it will be there from 2024 until 2044, and then with that we will have Eris will then move into the sign of Taurus in 2048. So humanity, we're in for a big evolutionary shifts. But what I'd like to do is take this chart back by years. Actually, what I may do is change up here, and let's go back. We're 2021, and we're going to go minus 500. And that's 1521. So we're talking at that time, we're talking Nostradamus, maybe not that year, but, you know, the 1500s, and Galileo and people like that. So this would have been up here. You can see that's the 1st of January, 1521. And what we have here, which is 500 years ago, and what we have is we had Pluto would have been, incredibly, it would have been in Capricorn 500 years ago. Wow. Okay. And then we have Eris would have been in the last degree of Aries at that time. And then let's make sure this is right. So Eris entered Aries in 1923. So that would have been its next cycle. So then we would go, that would have been 560 years. So we can see this chart of 1521. And then if we go to, we're going to go to 1923. We're going to go 1st of January, 1923. And then we're going to see, so it would have taken 500 years from 1521, roughly. And it would have been, let's find it here. Eris is there, the last few degrees of Pisces actually correctly here. So if we go a year ahead, 1924, 1925, 26, 27. So in 1927, it would have entered Aries, and it's going to leave there in it says on this document 2048. I'd like to actually check that. 1st of January 2048. 2048. I'm looking at this as evolutionary, you know, an evolutionary thing. So it's in its last degree of Aries. It's retrograde on the 1st of January 2048. And then let's see, we go a year ahead, and then it's in the sign of Taurus. So we're in for a big shift with this Eris meeting with Pluto, clearly. Because, you know, how they meet up and then they square, and a square is tension, and we've got a hell of a lot of it at the moment. You know, the idea of free speech, it's like the beauty of humans being able to interact, and hopefully we get to a place where we can be more authentic as human beings with each other and be able to exchange information on more of a free basis, and that we get to the bottom of what's unseen as well, because there's a lot that we're struggling with, Neptunian, you know, infections and such like, very Neptunian and very unseen to the eye. And also we could see racism being the same way, so we see the whole of 2021 where we've had this Neptunian, beyond this realm stuff that we're dealing with. we're hoping to come out of that. I've known in the UK, whether we continue to have to sort of isolate at times throughout this year and because of the rules that we're going to have to go through, but who knows where this is going to head. But I thought I just wanted to share what's been going on in my mind. I'd like to say a lot more as well, but, clearly one has to be aware that other people have such differing opinions at this time that it's best to, share amongst our individualized groups of people that, get us so that we can keep our cortisol levels low and not go into the fight, flight and fearful stuff, and that we, look after ourselves as well. Okay, I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching.